So yes guys, hello and welcome back to the Adam Templeton Triathlete YouTube channel. You join me today for my full race debrief, recap and review of the Lakesman Middle Distance Triathlon 2026. I'm going to try and format this video so it can be used as a resource for anyone looking to take part in the event in future years as well. I know in the 2027 edition they've got the full distance coming back once again. This will just be a focus on the middle distance. That was the only event on the day, and I'm going to break it down running through the main sections of the event, talk about the good things, talk about the bad things, and then give my race recap as well. I'll try my best in the description to put timestamps of all the different sections. I've got my timer here as well. I'm going to do this in one take just to make sure I don't ramble on too much. But yeah, timestamps should be below if you want to jump to a particular section of the video. So starting off, we're going to look at the day before going to registration for the event. Now, Keswick itself is a fairly popular travel destination with the Lake District area, all the different hills and climbs round about there. There's plenty of tourists that will come and go, and the town itself is fairly small. When you then bring a full triathlon community on top of it, it does get fairly crowded. In terms of registration, it's hosted at the rugby club, and on the day we got there round about sort of 1 PM and it was pretty busy. We eventually found a parking spot just towards the side of the town, and there is parking spaces, but you can imagine there's not much you can do. It's going to get really busy. Registration itself, very well organised. Everything was easy to collect. You went and got your number, sort of your bags, and then transition 1 and transition 2, it's just a one joint transition, was about probably about just under a 10-minute walk or stroll. I walked quite slowly from the registration area down towards the waterfront where the swim would take place the next morning. Transition itself was fairly easy to navigate. The way they've got it set up is similar to a lot of the Ironman events these days, where it's a transition tent that stores the majority of your items. Your bike will still be racked outside in the main car park, but yeah, all your bags with your cycling kit and then your running kit are stored in this one tent. And yeah, it was pretty good. Again, no major complaints on that one. Pretty chill, got it all sorted, and then it was good to go on race morning. Actually, quick, that's one other thing, just before the race itself was the briefing that took place on the Saturday. Again, fairly well organised, just in the pub area at the rugby club, and just ran through a kind of general overview of what the next day would look like. Now, looking at the race itself, we've got the swim starting off, very early start. Given the time of year, it's when the sun is rising at its earliest as well. And yeah, we were in the water just before 6 AM for an in-water start. And yeah, they were saying in the first wave, it's at most 300 athletes. Given the event size, we're not talking Ironman numbers here as well. It's not thousands of people. Looking at the overall stats, it was about just short of 600 that started on the day. And the swim starts themselves would be across 3 waves. I put myself in that first wave. Again, it was saying estimated under 33 or 35 minutes. And yeah, that's sort of where I ended up. Looking at it as well, getting into the water was fairly fine. It was fairly organised. On the day, got the weather for it. Water temperature, they said in the briefing the day before, was about 16 degrees or so. Then starting off on the swim, it was, again, not too hectic. I kind of positioned myself in the middle, and it was slightly washing machine, but I guess I must have just got quite lucky. I didn't get kicked or volleyed at all, and felt like I was moving along okay. You're one big loop round the island, and on the last turn towards the shore, again, very weather dependent, Clear skies meant that the sun, as it was coming over the horizon, made visibility very difficult. Within the water there was sort of the right amount of buoys to sight and also to turn around. But yeah, there's not much you can do about that one. Visibility was pretty poor. I had full faith and full trust in the feet in front of me, and yeah, eventually coming out the water, it was fairly smooth as well. Sort of nice kind of gradual runway, nice big arch that you can see from a distance. And again, personally, my swim time I was happy with. I got out. Overall time swimming was like just over 31 minutes or 32 minutes. And yeah, now moving on to transition one itself. It's a fair bit of running from the exit of the water towards the transition area. Again, not much you can really do about that. It's pretty standard. Coming out, there was a sort of felt mat put down until you hit round about the car park area where all the bikes were racked. From that point, it was then barefoot on the tarmac, and someone had definitely been out and done a lot of sweeping, as there was no really like, loose stones or like leaves or anything, but it was quite uncomfortable. It would have been nice if the mat that they put down continued the full way round to the transition tent, but again, you're talking sort of like another 300, maybe even, yeah, probably about 300 metres of mat that they need to put down, so it would be a bit of a nightmare if they'd done that. Once I eventually got to the transition tent, finding my bag, that was fairly simple, and then the volunteers within the tent, it was great, they were grabbing it down. Yeah, so I guess it wasn't me that found the bag, it was someone else that picked it up for me, got it off the hook, and started emptying it. I was there then putting my socks on, putting my cycling shoes on. Preferred to put them on before getting on the bike or having them racked on already. I just like putting them on. But again, that was probably quite good in this sense because it was another sort of 200 metres once you've came out of transition to get to your bike in most cases. So I feel having shoes on probably helped at that point. Had my shoes on, had my helmet on, and then yeah, just about to leave transition area, got a shout from one of the marshals, one of the officials, "Oh, you've not got a race number on." Nightmare. So I think just sort of in the spur of the moment and the rush, normally when you have your items in a transition area where they're sitting beside your bike, you have like your race number tucked into your helmet. This was an oversight of mine the day before. I'd obviously just chucked it in the bottom of the bag, and yeah, my T1 bag is pretty full. I pretty much get there and start putting on winter kits. I've got a buff and winter gloves and a towel and everything else. So the volunteer there in the transition area must have been a bit confused, wondering why it was so full. They were then taking stuff out the bag and sort of handing it to me, which you could say that made me forget, but to be honest, it's my own fault. You're putting a race number on as part of the game, and it's a step that you need to remember. And considering at the duathlon I raced at the start of the year, it was something I completely forgot. You thought I would have remembered that as well, but went back, got my race number, and moving out onto the bike. The bike course itself is sort of a, yeah, kind of just over 20 kilometres or kind of like 13, 14 miles flat section out on the A66. You do one big loop, again just over sort of rolling terrain, and then you're that same flat straight section coming back. It is a very fast course and asks for fast times as well. You're definitely wanting to make sure that you've got everything aero optimised for such a course. If you're able to sit comfortably in the TT bars and have a low CDA, then yeah, this course is definitely suited for you. Your watts to aero is very, very important. And again, yeah, the roads, even out on the big loop, the course was actually altered and adjusted just a couple of days before the event, and it made it even faster. One of the side roads that we were going to come off and go through a little town and then join back and bring on the roads, or on the way back, come back on the bypass. There was gasworks being done in the little side road, so they just kept us on the bypass out and back, and so it made it even faster. We weren't taking any detours, and there's just not too much else to report. No big issues. Again, a lot of the reviews talk about the road being quite busy. Once I was out in the morning, by the time I'm out of the water and onto the bike, you're talking it's like 6:45. It wasn't majorly busy then, and by the time we were coming back, everyone was spaced out enough that there wasn't big packs of us really rolling along. So cars had plenty of room to overtake. So towards sort of the kind of top kind of 20% of the race, it wasn't too much of an issue. Maybe when, again, I'm talking as if I'm some sort of pro athlete. I'm not right at the pointy end, but maybe if you're more towards the middle section of the race, it could have been a bit busier, but I don't think there was any reports of any incidents happening on the road on that day, and I'm sure the locals will be well aware of this one now, given that the event is in its 10th year running. And one last thing, again, the bike for me, sort of looking at a personal overview, I was happy with how it went, or happy enough. The bike setup I had on the day was slightly interesting from a previous incident a few weeks before when I was out cycling. Normally I'm always on Zwift indoors, but I decided to go outside one time and managed to break my bike 50 miles from the house. And it eventually, long story short, had to go for a carbon repair, and it's one that I've still not got back just yet. I was using my mum's road bike, which again is a decent bike, but aero optimised, maybe not so much. Just with the TT bar setup that I had, they were rather wide, and again, it just looks even more daft once I've got the POC Tempor helmet on as well. Very, very interesting setup. Not so well optimised for those aerodynamics, as I've previously just mentioned, would have been useful on such a course. Coming back in off the bike, transition 2, again, it's a shared transition, everything's in the one area. You come off at this mountain line, you're racking your bike outside again, and it's back into the transition tent. Again, as I was arriving, there was volunteers once again there, seeing what number you were, going, grabbing your bag, starting emptying it out for you, which was really good. And not too much else to report on that one. Fairly smooth. By the time you're taking your stuff off as well, as long as it's not too busy, the volunteer will then be the one to fill your bag back up with all your items, which is really, really helpful as well. It just sort of gives you the peace of mind that you're not rushing about and having to make sure that you've put everything back in the bag. And moving out onto the run course. So the run course itself, coming out of transition 2, it's a slight sort of zigzag section as you go through this little trail towards the main course itself. Again, not too bad. I was a little bit confused. It's my own fault for not doing a proper recon of what the run course looked like. It was sort of left and right and left, but I eventually made it on to the course itself. And it was 4 loops that you had to do out on this course. You head out, you hit sort of a trail path to begin with, and then it's onto the sort of staking section out and back on this main road. It's completely closed off to traffic at this point, so you don't need to worry about that. And at this point, I did get, again, my own fault for not properly investigating the GPX file or the GPS viewer for the run course. I was a bit confused as to when and where you were making the turns initially on the out and back. because there was one sign where people were turning or making a U-turn in the opposite direction to this way it was going. Again, that's just my own fault at that point. But you're one big out and back, and then you snake back up and round on the inside as well. The loops I was actually quite happy with. I quite enjoyed it. It broke it up in a slightly different way to usual, where you're just sort of praying that the next kilometre marker will come through on your watch, whereas you could break it down a bit more to say loop 1 done, loop 2 done, loop 3 done, 1 to go. So that was quite nice. And also another great thing on the course was at the aid stations, even though it's sort of keeping the planet safe and everything like that, having water bottles to grab was really good on the day. And the volunteers weren't sort of scared to give them out, and it was hot as well, so you could grab a water bottle every time you're going past an aid station, take a few sips of it, and then pour the rest over your head. And then of course from that point, chuck it in the bin. But yeah, it definitely helped compared to sort of paper cups. Logistics wise, again, if you're doing that at an Ironman event where there's thousands of people, it probably wouldn't be great. But for this size of the event, it definitely came in handy. And one last thing from the run course, again, where I was slightly confused, as I was coming to the grassy area to complete my first loop of the lapped section, I was just running through, sort of focusing going forward, and then I'm sort of hearing shouts, oh, go back, go back, go back. I didn't realise, I don't know again, if it's maybe something that I missed when they were doing the race briefing, or if it was something from the athlete guide that I hadn't seen, but you were given small rubber bands each time you completed a lap, which is good to sort of keep track again, keep count of how many you'd done. And it only cost me like 5-10 seconds. I'll probably put the clip up just now as I'm talking about it, but yeah, I was just so unaware that we had to do it. Again, probably it's just something that I've missed, or something that you'd probably learn if you've done the event before. And yeah, run performance for me on the day, very happy with how it went. Again, when I'm racing and running, I don't look at my watch for the splits or anything. I've run pretty much purely off of feel. Again, because it's a sub-threshold effort, you know when you get close to that boiling point that you'd have to just pull it back. But yeah, fairly consistent pacing throughout the day. I had my new Saucony Endorphin Pro 5s on, sort of for the first time doing a kind of longer run in them. I've done a few kilometres, just a couple of intervals and a few strides just to get the feel for them. And again, a shoe that's marketed as, oh, the beginner-friendly super shoe, but in a triathlon sense, you don't really want the fastest of the fast shoes. Something with a bit more stability, a bit more traction, something that will keep you moving forward as you get tired. I'd say that would be better. And as you're there, you sort of look at the other shoes about, and it's mostly Asics or the Sauconys that are there as well, and a few kind of Adios Pro 4s. The odd Vaporfly and Alphafly, but not as many as there used to be, definitely. And then that's one last thing as well from the run course. It took me 10 kilometres to catch this gentleman. There was a few superheroes out there on the day, but Spider-Man, wowee, 2 laps on the run it took me to catch this person. I've never seen a fitter athlete dress up as a superhero during a triathlon. And the thing, the commitment as well, wearing the Spider-Man mask for the majority of the race, immense. Fair play for doing that. Because as the sun was starting to get stronger and stronger as the day went on, he must have been scalping. But yeah, good run course, good finish, and yeah, coming across the finish line itself, again, plenty of water there if you wanted a drink. Following on from there, you sort of loop back round into the rugby club section, and you can pick up your medal, the medal that I've got here. So you get yeah, finisher medal again. A really nice finisher medal for the half distance triathlon. You also grab your race T-shirt that I've got on here just now. A nice colourway, to be honest. I do like the design. The only thing with it is it's that way where it's stretchy enough, but it's maybe not the most breathable T-shirt, which is a bit of a shame. It's sort of, again, that is very picky from me at this point, but it's like, if I was to score it on a scale out of 10 and not use 7, I'd probably put it more towards 6. I have done one run in it and it was okay. So yeah, it'll probably stay in the rotation for the time being. And yeah, as well, when you'd finished up, there was food vouchers that you got, so you could come across the line, and it was sort of chippy vans that they had. So you get some chips and a sausage supper or a fish supper, whatever you wanted as you cross the line. Again, sort of gluten-free and whatever dietary requirement options available as well. So that was really good. And the last thing from that was sort of the presentations for the event, and they had late on as well, which I hadn't realised. Sort of for the accommodation that I'd booked, I'd just done the Saturday night, so by the Sunday, as soon as the race was done, it was sort of I was having to leave, so I wasn't able to hang around for the presentations. So yeah, some events do it where as soon as the leaders are across the line, they'll hand them out then, and other events they try and hold back until everyone's finished. Again, it's just how they organise it. And that sort of brings us to the end of the event. So, or actually, one other last note as well that I've got here on my notes is from the event you got race finisher photos, so crossing the line for free, and some of the photos were really good on the day, and then sort of looking at previous events, I think the photos were included within the race purchase, but for this one, other than your finisher photo, it was then £8 per photo for the digital download. And I know these photographers, they're out there for the full day and it's a serious shift, but I think they would probably end up making more money if there was an extra £5 put on top of the entry fee that then went directly to the photographer. Because you're sort of talking £8 for each photo. So if 50% of the field buy one extra photo, that's then £4 sort of per athlete. Whereas if it was £5 on top of the entry fee and everyone got all their photos, the photographer would probably make more money in the end up. Again, very picky from my side, very sort of narcissistic and sort of social media crazy, just because I'm wanting to get the YouTube videos out as soon as possible, and make a clickbait thumbnail that gets 15 views. But yeah, just another quick comment from me. And yeah, pretty much wrapped up there for the overall recap of the event. I did incredibly enjoy the day, very well organised, loads of volunteers, got the weather. If it was more Lake District usual weather, it might have made it a bit different, but yeah, couldn't have asked for much more. And it's an event that I definitely want to go back and do again at some point. Of course, next year they've got the half distance and the full distance being offered once again, so if it's something that would interest you, I'd definitely go and check it out. One I'd definitely recommend. If you did enjoy this video today, be sure to hit the like button. If you found it useful and you want to keep up with the rest of my triathlon training and racing journey, press subscribe, and I'll catch yous in the next one.